Hi, it's Charlie giving you Monday's video. Hope you're very well. I'm going to have a look at the euro here today using my e-signal charts for a change, and just put it into context where we are as on the back of what happened last Thursday after the ECB, and what may happen next, in my view at least anyway. So it's all just opinion, isn't it, in the markets? Obviously we had the huge market move on Thursday, and you have to be careful when it comes to trading in the markets when too many people all are on the same side. The market may struggle to go that much lower, because if everybody's short, there's no one left to carry on pushing that market down, and it only takes a few people to start covering or a few buyers to come into the market, and it can just turn the tide. And then all of a sudden, because you have got so many people short, they start to close their short positions, which then triggers that short covering rally. So it's a really strange one in the markets, because fundamentally we all know that the euro should go lower against the US dollar fundamentally, but there's going to be points where it just can't do it. It really struggles to do it because there's just not enough. There's already a saturated market, so to speak, a bit like a flood. Like we've obviously had floods over the weekends here in the UK, and when a ground is already saturated, it can't absorb any more rainfall. And it's the same with trading. When it's already saturated, there's virtually nothing more that can happen. And so what we saw is this huge rally. Obviously it was on the basis of the fact that there was a lot of expectation on Draghi to announce more QE, which he didn't, and so he disappointed the markets in that regard. But again, people were too much positioned short, and that's what produced such a big move. Anyway, so you have to be very careful and always be aware of sentiment in the market. Try and get a feel for market sentiment. Now, I wasn't short, but then again I wasn't long either. I was out on Thursday with Kim, and we were out on a social all day, and so I didn't get chance to get long. It had already, by the time I was sitting in a restaurant looking at the prices, and they'd already flown, so I'd missed the boat, so to speak. But be careful of market sentiment, and when you see lots of people all saying the same things, you have to be a little bit wary, because this day would have stopped out a lot of traders. There had been a lot of traders all around the world who had been short from a month previously, and don't get me wrong, they probably would have banked some gains, but they've all got stopped out. They're all thinking it was going to go lower, so they just, some of the people who got short way back here obviously still would have been fine if they'd have trailed their stops down, that is, but obviously they wouldn't have had the same gains that they thought they were going to get. Anyway, what happens next? Well, we'll go out to the higher time frames first of all, but I think the market, although we sold off a bit on Friday and we're selling off again here this morning, I think at some point, now I don't know whether it's going to come in today or not, probably not, but could well come in tomorrow or the next day, then we'll start seeing a bounce. That's what I'm looking for anyway. So I think, yep, we've had the big bar, we're having a couple of down days so far, maybe another one tomorrow, but then I am looking for a bit of a bounce, maybe to come back up and retest this 50-day moving average again, this black line. So if I'm wrong, then obviously the market will just carry on coming lower, but at the moment it's got a lot of momentum that's switched to the upside, and I think any pullback we have to be a little bit careful of for a short-term bounce, and it could come back up to my black line, the daily 50, which is currently at 109.67. Now, if I'm wrong, then it'll just carry on rolling over, but I think that we'll at least get some sort of bounce first, and then we'll see from there. Let's go out to the higher time frames. Let's go out to the weekly and monthly charts. Now, with the weeklies, obviously we've held here as a result of last week, and so the key level now on the charts is obviously last week's low. So if we break last week's lows, then you would think all bets are off, as far as we should be then on that run down to take out the year's lows back in March and probably head lower. So but for now, just at the moment, just because we've had this big run up, we're having a couple of down days, I suspect at some point in the next probably 48 hours or so, some sort of bounce. But thereafter, it's actually quite a difficult one to to read because of the size of that candle that we had last week. So let me have a look at this. Hold on a second and press pause. Yeah, I think because of the technical damage that we've had prior to the up move, I'm reluctant to think that we'll come higher now, overall much higher, because fundamentally, although we've cleared out a lot of shorts here, fundamentally this market should go lower, even if, for example. And it's not going to, I don't think it's going to happen, but if the Fed weren't to increase rates this time, then obviously that could send the euro higher. But then what would happen would be, to counteract that, the ECB would then look to increase QE. So either way, the eurozone, they're trying to weaken that euro anyway. So I can't see fundamentally how the euro would carry on going higher for too long. So what I'm looking for is, at some point this week, a bit of a bounce, potentially back up to this daily 50, could even go a little bit higher, but then ultimately for it to then start to roll back over. So we shall see if that's going to play out. So I'll bring the pen up. Okay, and so I'm looking at the potential for, at some point, a bounce back up into this 50, and then somewhere around after that, it could go a little bit higher, but then a slow roll back over. And I don't know if that's going to happen this month, or it may hold up and not happen until the new year, because obviously as we're approaching Christmas, then trading volumes will tail off. So that's the overall short-term scenario that I'm looking for there on the euro. Hope it helps, and I'll be back in touch on Friday for live trading.